Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome our next speaker. First speaker. She is Rosalind Millet. So, she's a founder of Diverse Solutions Canopy and Disfilter, and late diagnosed global speaker and advocate for the digital autonomy and pro- pro-social safety for 20 years of educational leadership and 47 years of neuro distinct lived experience. So she is unable to present her presentation, so she has sent the video presentation. So I hope you enjoy it.
I'm not here to tell you a success story. I'm not here to inspire you, but I'm here because I'm still in it, and I think some of you are too. My name is Roz, and I'm ADHD, autistic and ADHD in the same body every single day. I was diagnosed at 46. I've been a SEND teacher for over 20 years and supported hundreds of neurodivergent children and young people, but I didn't know that I was one of them. That's what happens to a lot of women. We learn to mask so early, so completely. We're told to be compliant or to compromise or to be good. Don't argue. But even people trained to spot it don't see it in us. And then something strips the mask away. And for me, it was perimenopause. It didn't just kick the door in, it blew it apart. Every coping strategy, every compensation, every compromise, every performance of being fine, to blend in, to fit in, to not rock the boat, it started to go. And what was left was me, the raw and very unfiltered me. And when I look back, I saw my mum. My mum went through something I now have a name for, something many women have a name for now, but many still don't. Perimenopause as a neurodivergent woman comes with its own complications. She didn't know that's what it was then. She was able to identify it later when it became more known about, but the system didn't catch her. My mum died in mid-March this year, and in the grief of losing her, I kept asking myself, did anyone ever sit with her and say, what you're experiencing has a name, that you're not broken, that you're not going mad? She deserved that, but she never got it. And she is not alone. Generations of women managing and masking, getting on with it because there was no language for what they were carrying. I call them the unseen generations, and everything I have built in Disfilter, the flagship pillar, exists because of them. Last year, I hit my own absolute limit, and I'm still coming out of it, really. A very dark place, suicidal ideation, multiple calls to crisis in mind in any given day. I thought I was having a breakdown. I essentially was having a breakdown, but what it turned out to be was a spiritual awakening. Things I couldn't previously see, or things that I had swept under the carpet and tried to ignore, became very clear, and it was all I could see. And then something ignited. About 6 to 8 weeks of the most intense hyperfocus I have ever experienced, about 6 weeks after Mum died. For those of you who don't know what ADHD hyperfocus feels like, it doesn't care what the clock says. It arrives at 11 o'clock at night, at 1 in the morning, and when it does, you're consumed by it completely. In between, there are days I couldn't even hold a thought in my head. Executive dysfunction and cognitive burnout so heavy that I'd realised I hadn't eaten or drunk anything all day. The conditions I live with, rejection-sensitive dysphoria, pervasive drive for autonomy, CPTSD, PMDD, dyspraxia, insomnia, they don't sit separately, they amplify one another. And all of this, the lived experience, the 20 years as a SEND teacher and inclusion lead, watching young people fall through every gap the system has, and losing my mum, navigating the bereavement while building this platform, every bit of it, every ounce of it is in Disfilter. For the last 6 months, I've been living inside the very systems Disfilter is designed to fix, not theoretically, but as a service user right now. My health assessment has been cancelled for the third time in a row. The first time they left a voicemail. I rang them back and I said, just so you know, I've got ADHD and I'm autistic, for your reference. The response from the lady on the end of the phone was, I'm not trained for that, in that tone. I hadn't asked her to be trained for anything. I told her who I am, and that's what she said she wasn't trained for. 2 days ago, another voicemail, another cancellation, the same thing. And then she said, I'm just the receptionist. Then she told me I was the last case of the day for the appointment that was booked in. The appointment was for 3:30 p.m. She said it was unlikely to go ahead if the nurse overran. So I said, I really struggle with transitions. So is it possible we can just reschedule now and get ahead of the game? She said, no, I can't reschedule. I can't do that. So we waited for the day and the nurse overran. My appointment was not going to go ahead. So I think I will now be removing myself from that circus, because it's just, I can't keep. It's okay for them to cancel on me 3 times, but if I had the audacity or any adverse life experiences going on, of which there are plenty, if I was to turn around to them and say I couldn't make my health assessment for the 3rd time, they'd drop me. I'm cognitively spent from all of this, from everything. My nervous system is maxed out, and the services that are supposed to be helping me are not trained to talk to the people they serve. What would the right of response have been to have helped me with that phone call? Maybe something like, thank you for telling me, is there anything you need for this call? That's it. That response, the one that never came, is in the platform. And then there's the DWP checking on me. Am I looking for work? Not how are you? Not how are things going for you, but am I looking for work? Then sending me for a health assessment that got cancelled for the 3rd time to see if I can raise my arms above my head or walk 20 meters. I can raise my arms above my head and walk 20 meters, but putting me in a working space that has overhead glaring lighting, acoustics that will make me feel like I'm living hell, in a living hell, dealing with conflicting traits and needs of autism and ADHD, having executive dysfunction, pervasive drive for autonomy, so I struggle with people demanding things of me because I just see it as an absolute threat, rejection sensitive dysphoria, CPTSD and trauma. They want to know, they want to put me in a little box in a little job if I can raise my arms above my head and walk 20 meters. It doesn't work like that for neurodivergent individuals. I'm not shying away from work. In fact, I've been working the hardest I've ever worked in my life. I tell them I'm building a platform that will be helping a lot of people like me. And they hear she's not in work. In their system, I'm unemployed, not founder in inverted commas, or not builder of inverted commas, but the word that goes in their box is unemployed. I should be resting. I keep being told this by my GP and my therapist. You need to give your brain a break. You need to heal. You need to grieve. You need to let yourself work through all the things you're working through. That the chance would be a fine thing. My mum died in March, and instead of support, the DWP are causing me more stress than my nervous system can handle. That is the system, and that is why Dysfilter exists. While I'm navigating all of that, I am also still grieving. My mum died in March, and what I learned very quickly is that when someone dies, the systems do not stop. They do not pause, and they do not say, take a moment. The things I've seen my stepfather go through, which I know many millions of people across the world go through. So I know this isn't the first time this has ever been talked about, but it's something that I've witnessed, and it's something I want to work on and build on. The death certificate, the probate, the frozen accounts, the pension, the HMRC, the utility companies that need changing, the car tax that needs changing, everything registered to my mum, everything my mum was involved in needs changing and attention. It needs a phone call, a form, a reference number, proof, and they all need it now, while you can barely get out of bed, while my stepfather is processing losing his wife for 47 years. I built the bereavement engine inside Dysfilter because of all of this. One notification, the death is registered and the certificate is referenced, and the platform begins routing. It knows which organizations need to be contacted. It knows the order. It knows what each one needs. It doesn't replace the person, it carries them through it step by step, so that instead of facing 30 closed doors, you face one open one. And then there was the time that I couldn't speak at all. The year before last, I had a suspected TIA, a mini stroke. I was fully aware and my mind was right there, but my mouth couldn't and wouldn't form the words. My hand couldn't write and I could barely text the doctor what it was that I was going through. I was trying to sign. I learnt Makaton and BSL1 whilst I was working in SEN provisions, and the people around me didn't know Makaton or BSL. Why would they? I was trapped inside my own body, fully conscious, completely unable to communicate, and there was nothing, no tool, no app, no screen that could speak for me. There was no button I could tap, no way to play my own voice saying, I can hear you and I understand everything you're saying, but I can't speak right now. That moment is in the platform too. We're calling it the vocal filter. One tap and your real voice speaks for you, even if your hand can barely move, even if no one in the room knows sign language, not a robot, not AI, your voice, the way you actually sound. Because I've been that person, and I never want anyone to be that person without a way out. So this filter has two editions. The personal edition for you, the individual, navigating your way through daily life in systems that may not be built with you in mind, and the enterprise edition for organizations and every person within them. So for the personal edition, maybe a sensitive topic, but I want you to think about the last time you may have received a message that may have made your stomach drop or clench or do a bit of a butterfly turnaround. It may have come across as cruel or manipulative, designed to unsettle you. Not an easy thing to have to rethink about. This filter has a feature called the communication mirror. It works on the send side. Before a message reaches you, it scans it. If it detects hostility, manipulation, gaslighting, or abuse in any form, in any kind, it does not let it through. It reflects it back to the sender with a pro-social alternative. And if they insist on sending it anyway, it never reaches you. It goes into what's called the truth vault, time-stamped, tamper-evident, and court admissible. You never have to read it, and you never have to have read it for it to stand as evidence. But if you do ever want to see what was held, because some people will want to know, this filter does not just hand it over. There are 3 stages. First, are you in a stable place right now? Do you feel okay within yourself to read the message? Second, do you have someone with you, a trusted person maybe? And third, if you are on a healing journey, if you have actively stepped away from the person or people who sent you those messages, the raw content is locked permanently. No override. No, I changed my mind. All 3, or at least 2, have to be in place before you have access to that content. Because people in distress reread harmful content obsessively. For those who have sensory processing differences, they need to read something over and over and over again to try and understand it. It re-traumatizes them every single time though, and this platform creates a mandatory pause. Your future self is protecting your present self. And that is not the system deciding for you. That's the platform holding a boundary you set when you are thinking clearly. Then we have the universal passport. How many of you have walked into a doctor's appointment and couldn't remember what you needed to say? You know something's wrong. You've been living with it for days, weeks, or even months. But in that 5-minute window, with the clock ticking and them typing and not looking at you, the words won't come. The systems are invisible. The anxiety is invisible. The pain is invisible. And you're expected to summon the energy to remember all of it, explain all of it, prove all of it from memory under pressure in 5 minutes. This filter changes this. The microphone, this filter's microphone, listens with your consent, not to record you, to log. You speak your symptoms into it when you have the words. Today, yesterday, last Tuesday at 2 a.m, when the pain was bad and you could actually describe it. It captures what you say with timestamps and builds a summary. So when you walk into that appointment, you don't have to remember anything. The summary is already there. Your lived experience logged over time, ready to hand to the professional, not from memory, from evidence. And because it logs over time, it will see patterns and cycles, when symptoms spike, when they ease, what was happening the week before a crash, what was different the month the pain got worse. That is not just evidence for one appointment, that's evidence for a treatment plan. Your data and your patterns and your body working with the professional, not hoping they remember to ask the right question in 5 minutes. What I've just talked about is the health passport, one section inside the universal passport, which holds everything and moves with you. Every department, every professional, every service, all connected. Diagnoses, medication, pediatric health, women's and men's health, bereavement, anything health related that should follow you between professionals. Your lived experience is evidence, not data that gets treated as evidence. It is evidence. And then we have the accessible conversation panel. Before an appointment, get it all out however you need to. Type it, brain dump it, speak it into Disfilter's microphone. Disfilter will summarize it and share it with the professional. Not held privately, just shared. So they have it, they're accountable for it, and they cannot say they didn't know. They have everything they need to offer you the right services and the best treatments that you could possibly get and that you're entitled to. And then there is the vocal filter, your voice, kept and carried, ready when you need it. Some of you will know what it feels like to have the words in your head, but no way to get them out. Not because you can't think, because your body or your nervous system or your energy won't let you. So you record when you can, at 11 at night, when the thoughts are flowing and you actually have the words. 3 days before the appointment, when your brain is working and you can say what you needed to say. The vocal filter captures your voice, your real voice, the way you actually sound, and holds it. So when the day comes and your energy may have crashed, when you can't speak or when you can barely move, one tap and your voice is there, saying what you need to say in your voice, not a machine reading words, you. Try to get through this bit. And for some people, it goes further. A degenerative condition, a stroke, or something that means their voice may not last. They record now while they still can, and their voice stays for appointments, for phone calls, for the day their family needs to hear them say, I love you. Not a clone, not generated, their actual voice, preserved. Because a voice is not just sound, it is who you are. Losing it should not mean disappearing. The Enterprise Edition for Disfilter is not a diversity and inclusion tool. It holds accountability in 3 directions at once. The organization is accountable to its clients. The organization is accountable to its people. And the employees accountable for their conduct toward each other. Everyone in all directions. So what does this look like? A bank that cannot send a hostile message to a vulnerable customer because the communication mirror catches it before it leaves. An employer whose staff are accountable for how they speak to each other, not just what they produce. An organization that scoffs at this today and 6 months later needs it because someone on their team is going through something they never saw coming. And I want to say something to anyone in a room where this platform gets raised and someone scoffs. Disfilter is not only for people with a diagnosis, it's for anyone whose life changes, an accident, an illness, a bereavement, a hormonal shift that strips away the coping mechanisms you've spent decades building. The person who scoffs today may be the person who needs this most in 6 months. So where is it all going? I wrote to the Scotland office of the UK government because Scotland has been ahead of the rest of the UK in how it supports neurodivergent people. Earlier this month, I received a formal letter back. They said, it's clear that you have put a great deal of thought and effort into developing an innovative approach to improving accessible communication for neurodivergent people. And then I have shared your correspondence with HM Treasury, who are responsible for the UK government's financial inclusion strategy. Because Disfilter is not just a communication tool, it's a financial inclusion infrastructure. And if you cannot communicate with your bank, your benefits officer, or your employer, you are financially excluded, not because you lack money, but because the systems that manage the money were not built for the way your brain works. And here's what I want to tell you about that letter. It was welcomed wholeheartedly. It was a formal acknowledgement. It was a step forward, but it had no named contact, no timeline, no clear next step. And for a neurodivergent person, an open loop is genuinely destabilizing. You hold it every day with no information about how to move forward. And that, the very communication style used in their reply, is the gap Disfilter exists to close. I've submitted Disfilter to the FCA, the Financial Conduct Authority, through their Innovation Pathways program. I've filed a patent covering the send-side communication intercept, as well as many other features of Disfilter, the core technology that stops harmful content before it reaches the recipient. No other platform does what this does. And I have to be honest, I believe that this has all been guided. The signs and the synchronicities, the doors opening that I did not knock on. I've been hanging on by a thread, and I was hanging on by a thread, and there are days where I still feel that way, but something kept showing me that this is meant to move. So I've moved with blind faith and trust in the process. One thing I want to be clear about, Disfilter does not store what it filters. It processes communications to detect and translate harmful content, but nothing is retained. The institutions this platform will sit inside, banks, NHS trusts, employers, they need to know this. Nothing sits on a server that's waiting to be breached, and that is the point. Disfilter is 6 to 8 weeks old as a built platform, built in non-linear bursts of hyperfocus, between crashes and burnout and grief and insomnia, built from lived experience, which means it was built right. I'm not standing here with a polished success story. I am in the middle of this, and there are some days I'm consumed by the downloads of inspiration, in spirit, fully in it. I am building without a thought of what is coming next. I don't even realize what it is I'm creating. I'm just in it, consumed. And then an hour later, 4 hours later, I'm consumed by something else. Exhaustion, grief, overwhelm, the weight of all of it landing all at once. 1 minute consumed by the divine, the next consumed by the human, and I have to let both be what they are. I'm speaking for those who are struggling on a daily basis, for those who are in the depths of despair, for those who have lost hope and faith, or for those who don't feel seen or heard. I have been there, I have lived it, and I'm still working through it, but I have the capacity to. Experience teach wisdom, one of my outstanding learning mentors once told me, and he was true and right. The people who have been in the darkest of places are often the ones who can best support others through theirs, not because they have it together, but because they know what it is to not have it together, and they try to build something from that anyway to help others. I want to end with this. I'm not building a product. I'm building the thing my mom needed when she was struggling and the system didn't catch her. I'm building the thing the woman before her needed and never had. I'm building the thing I needed at my darkest point when there was nothing there to catch me. And I'm building the thing I desperately need right now to help me function on a day-to-day basis. And I'm building it so the next generation, the young women who don't yet know they're neurodivergent, who are masking their way through systems that were never built for them, do not have to go through what any of us went through without something there to catch them. The system failed us, so we built the shield. And before I close, there's something practical I want to leave with you. Disfilter can be funded through Access to Work, a UK government grant. You do not have to pay it back, and it doesn't affect your other benefits. If you are employed and you have any condition that affects how you work, you can apply. If you are self-employed, 100% funding is there. You can apply at gov.uk/access to work or call 0800 121 7479. The QR code should be on the screen now, so scan it and save it and send it to someone who needs it. And while you're here, protect your peace and protect your energy. Whatever you carry into tomorrow, hold on to those two things. They are yours, not for systems to drain or for institutions that ask you to perform your way through your own pain. Protect them and remember, experience teach wisdom.
Yeah, that was a wonderful session by Rosalind. So yeah, we have learned a lot more about this filter, and so I hope the audience are more inspired by your words. And there are some of couple of questions from our audience, and so we'll be directly sharing to your email. And ladies and gentlemen, so there are some QR codes, so please scan the codes and connect with the Rosalind directly. And so thanks for your presentation, Rosalind, and please be in the backstage and join the next session.
I will do. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Rosalind. Have a great day. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.